Welcome to this video. This is some coverage of the World Rapid Championships. That's the Rapid, and after that the Blitz Championships held in Dubai in the United Arab Emirates. And this is a 3-day event. The Rapids, 5 games per day, so 15 games total to at the end find a new, or maybe the old champion will defend, you never know, a Rapid World Champion. It's an excellently an excellent field. I mean, from the world's top players, I guess mostly Kramnik is missing, but they're all else they're there. The top 7 players are playing, so Carlsen, Aronia, Nakamura, Grishuk, they're all there. What I'm going to do is, for each of the 3 days, focus on 1 or 2 players that are popular, and pick out 1 or 2 games, whatever comes to mind. Maybe for the final day I try to cover some decisive games that are important for the final standings. But well, in the first rounds it's not there are already top guys playing each other, but it's hard to call any special game decisive. Okay, I'm starting with the first round game by Nakamura. Always a popular player. Lots of people are interested in what he's doing. So let's look at this. The field is actually so strong that in the first round Nakamura is playing Iturrizaga. Maybe not a player you know. He's the top player from Venezuela, and he's rated 2650. So about number 100 in the world, so not exactly a weak opponent. Okay, we get a Reti opening, which transposes to a Slav with a6 and g6. And Nakamura here quickly gets a very interesting position. We see that with d takes c4. He transforms the position and plays c5. Which now is more looking like, this is more Grunfeld type of position, with an open center where the bishop on g7 is really doing something. I quite like the idea. It's at least an interesting way to play. And Iturrizaga is playing d5, keeping it closed, and Nakamura, in typical aggressive style, is playing b5. Yeah, this has some ideas, of course, undermining the center. And white really does not have much else. Bishop b2 is normal, and castles. Yeah, and now white took on b5. It's very difficult now to play anything else. Other moves really seem to be helpful to black. If white develops, for example, he will lose even more time. Note that there are tactics already here, like this. Black is clearly better. I think it's just best what Iturrizaga did. He took on b5, and after knight a6 now we see that black has excellent chances to get the pawn back. It is only with some serious risk possible to keep the pawn. I mean, you can try e4, but if you look at knight b4, you'll see that white now needs to be very careful. For example, if we consider a move like queen e2, black can even take here. That's not apparent at first, but this is really possible. Queen takes, bishop f5 is clearly quite good for black. And after knight takes, there is bishop b2, queen b2, bishop f5 again. And this is not clear at all, this position. If the knight moves, there's knight c2. And if this is played, this queen d5, and this is really a totally unclear position. Yeah, with some really strange ideas like this. Very tough to judge. I think it's very prudent what Iturrizaga did. He just returned the pawn, and right here with rook d1, I think white is slightly more comfortable. He's getting quicker to the central files, and is having a slight advantage here. Oops, this was the wrong button. Black took, yeah, with an attack here on the queen, so white first needs to recapture. And here in this position we see that white is slightly more comfortable, but it's nothing terrible. Rook c8, queen c4, and the bishop takes f3. Yeah, debatable move, but I guess an interesting one. With the capture and e6, black is preparing knight d5. Yeah, now Iturrizaga plays in a very very direct fashion. Bishop d4, just trying to win this pawn. And using the pin here, of course, black cannot take. Nakamura played, I think, the best defense. Knight d5, queen c5, queen d8. He gave up the pawn, but now we see that black's queen is switching over to the king side, where white's king is really not very well defended. This weakened pawn structure is not exactly helpful.
Check.
This check. And queen h5, directly attacking the pawn. Yeah, bishop e2, sensible move. Yeah, and here at this point, I think already Nakamura could have basically almost forced the draw. After rook c1, queen h4. It seems that white really does not have much else than king g2. Can maybe take first, but we are very likely having... oh, sorry. King g2 isn't really great, right? The problem is that rook c1 was wrong. I read my notes wrong. Here there's actually a bishop d4 with a great position for black. White is now totally uncoordinated here with the pawns. All pawns are weak. He must take with the queen, of course. I'm sorry. And here this queen h4 business is
check,
very drawish. However, he played bishop f8, maybe to try for a win. It's not a mistake, it's just a bit risky, I guess. Around here, it's not so clear how black is getting the pawn back, and it's also not a decisive attack or anything. He still has some compensation, but it's not totally convincing.
Check.
Had some repetition here, and now Iturrizaga is playing for a win with bishop a6. Yeah, white is just better. He also had f4, queen f2, and then rook f1. Also not a bad way to continue. Now push the a pawn. It's not a decisive advantage, and this is what I meant with bishop f8. It's a bit risky, but it's not decisive for white. This position. Yeah, after bishop is a6. However, Nakamura could have played queen h3 again, going for this drawing perpetual. Yeah, this is probably the best move. After which black can play bishop d6, for example, or yeah, or can go back. Yeah, bishop d6 was played by Nakamura directly, and now f4 again was a good idea. He played king g2 though. After which, yeah, black is perfectly alright again.
Check.
To get this pawn back. And rook b8. Yeah, this all feels okay. h5. Of course, black has instead of h5, Nakamura is playing for a win. He could have done other things. Even the crazy moves like this are possible. It's not really bad, but. H5 is okay, why not use the pawn? King e2, trying to secure the king, and queen to g2, making this push possible. Bishop h8, yeah, it gets tricky now. Bishop f8 to cover g7. Black also had f6, which forces a draw immediately, but of course Nakamura was trying to win. Yeah, this forces a draw because of... Oops, I'm sorry. Here black must go here, and forces a draw actually. Quite funny. Queen f6, queen f2 will end in a perpetual check. quite strange, but okay. Nakamura wants to win. Bishop f8, not a bad move. Now bishop e5, and this is of course a very complicated position. Note that, by the way, the clock times are nonsense. It's just from my import. It's not how the actual clock times were, and I'm not sure how they were because they don't have any information about that in the downloaded game file. Would be very interesting for a rapid game to know. But if you want, there's a live coverage, and they also have recorded videos for the round, so you can actually watch the games unfold as they were played or live. So very much to be recommended. Maybe there you can see if how Nakamura's time was at this stage. It would be interesting. It would be especially interesting because right here in this position, it seems that he made a very big mistake. He played rook to a8. It seems that instead rook c8 was perfectly okay for black. Yeah, it's quite apparent why this is not good. It's bishop c6, and this was played by Iturrizaga. Now black has a big problem. White is just threatening to take this knight and then attack. Yeah, there are various ways. He played rook a5 now, but we can look at, for example, rook c8, which looks totally logical. Look at this. It's a very big problem for black. The rook is attacked. It has no square. Yeah, something like this is decisive. And if this, there's this immediate threat. And don't forget that white has the a pawn. This is a total win. It's a very, very problematic position now. Probably it is lost already. Rook a5 was tried, and after that took, and queen b6. And this is essentially a double attack on the rook and on the king, if you want. Queen f6 is a huge problem. Yeah, Nakamura played queen g5, which is not really a good defense, but he was probably quite shaken by now, by the turn of events. Rook takes f4 is still something that you can continue. It is lost, but you can continue. In a position like this, black must give up the exchange, which is obviously not great, but you can at least continue the game. Well, you will lose d5, and you can try to hang on for a while, but white's king is relatively safe. It's very unlikely that something bad is going to happen. Yeah, he played queen g5, after which bishop f4 was played, and this is really just a double attack. Rook, oops, I'm sorry, the rook and the queen, and the queen can, yeah, has no square where the rook can be covered. So queen f5, queen a5,
check,
and here white is just a rook up. Nakamura played a couple of more moves at
check,
but right here resigned as there's absolutely no counterplay, and it's just a rook for nothing. So a shocking start for one of the favorites. Nakamura certainly being one of the favorites. He's the highest rated player actually on the rapid world rankings, while Carlsen only is number 4, which is pretty much a clear indicator that those ratings are not very, very sound. They don't. They simply don't rate all the games played. It's a very weird selection. Some tournaments count, some don't. It's a bit weird. So it's a slightly distorted view, these world rankings. Nakamura is certainly a fantastic rapid player, but I really don't think he should be higher rated than Carlsen. Okay, and he's clearly higher rated, not just 5 points or something. Okay, this was Nakamura's start to the tournament. Not great. He after that won 2 games, and he need to get back. These games are not in the files. I guess he was on one of the lower boards then, and it was not in the file that I could download. So we can have a brief look at his round 4 game against Laurent Fresinet from France. Just a moment. Yeah, loaded the game. Nakamura playing Fresinet. Fresinet is one of the top players of France, always around the 2,700 mark, and a good rapid player. So let's see what happens. We have this strange opening. Sometimes it's called the new Veresov. The Veresov opening is knight c3, knight f6, and normally bishop to g5. But in recent times, this bishop f4 move has become quite popular. Not quite sure why actually. It certainly is an option to get a game quickly that is somewhat out of the regular lines that you know. And yeah, it happens in this game very quickly. We get an interesting fight. Fresnay is playing c5, a move that I like, directly using the center. e3 and a6. Yeah, a6 may look a bit weird, but note that on an innocent move like knight c6, white is already winning the game. So a6 is basically a preparation for knight c6. And if you play something like that, you also have to reckon with this thing. When the knight on a6 is not really great. So a6, it makes some sense. Yeah, and now Nakamura is playing it very interestingly. He took on c5, which I find really surprising in a way, giving up the center now. But okay, knight c6, and now he played a3. Yeah, it leads to a total mess quickly. This is threatening b4, so black really has no choice. He must play e5, bishop to g4. It looks strange, moving it twice, but the idea is to take and take d5. So black does not have the time to just recapture here. This is just losing a pawn for basically nothing. So d4 takes knight e4. Very very weird opening, but interesting. It's probably quite good for white, this thing. But Fresnay now plays a very enterprising continuation, which is probably not entirely correct. He plays queen to d5. Yeah. And the good thing about an opening like that is there is really chess being played over the board by two people and not some engines in preparation. They really have a fight now quickly. Yeah, queen d5 is interesting. Attacks here and attacks here. So
check.
There is basically only that. With white winning a pawn, yeah, queen e6, check. Queen e2 is just good for white again. So rook g8 and queen f3. Yeah, very weird position. Black took on c5. If we do a quick count, white is a pawn up. So black has sacrificed the pawn for this position, which is probably yeah, not really correct play. If we look especially at the bishop on f6, that makes it very difficult for black to get castled and his pieces coordinated.
Check.
He gets some time here with those moves, but it still does not solve all his problems.
Check.
King f8 must be played. What else is there? Yeah, and now Nakamura actually can take here, yeah, leaving this rook on pre. If black takes the rook,
check,
we just get something like this, where white will play knight f3, rook e1 with a fantastic attack, and he's got 2 pawns for the exchange. So this is basically winning for white, this attack. He couldn't take there, played bishop to f4. Yeah, and really a weird position. By the way, I forgot a little thing. In this position here, white also had another strong option. This is knight f3. Very strong move actually, but there was some very weird point that needed to be seen. Bishop f5 at first looks quite good, yeah, attacking here. But white has an excellent reply, knight e5, which is a typical computer style move. Very tough to see for a human player, knight e5. You just ignore the attack on the queen and put the knight on e5, and the point is that this is, check, of course, now winning for white, this fork. And this is very difficult to see, especially because the bishop after the capture, only then the d7 square is actually free for the knight, or accessible. It's a very weird tactic that would have been very good for white. Here black has a big problem. Probably the best move for black is queen takes e5. And well, I think this is just totally out. I mean, no way that black is going to survive. This d4 is falling, and it's absolutely no compensation here. Black is already a pawn down. But okay, this was very tough to see. The capture is very logical. Bishop f4, and here g3 was played, and here quite similarly, knight f3 is good. And again, this weird knight e5 move. They're totally difficult to spot, but would have been very good for white. This g3 was okay. It's not winning or anything, but knight f3, knight e5 is very tough to see for a human. So g3 and f3. White is 2 pawns up, yeah. Don't forget that. Black is basically hoping for some sort of miracle counter attack. So he's got some active pieces. Yeah, he had played d3. And this does not seem to be right. Just a move like f5 was probably better, intending king f7 to connect rooks. Very unclear position. In a rapid game, anything can happen. Yeah, this was done. Takes. And only now f5. Yeah, and here Nakamura had the chance to just get rid of the queens. Queen b4. This was played. And queen b4 would have just exchanged queens, leaving white with 2 extra pawns. It's not a simple technical win, because white's pawns here are all somewhat weak, but just count. It's 3 pawns at the moment, 3 even. And yeah, black will get 1 or 2 back maybe, but it's still 3 pawns with queens off, so you're not going to get mated. And the bad thing is, after d4, there was queen d5, and I mean, what exactly did he overlook? Queen d5 is the only playable move anyway, and now there's this mate threat here. So white has no choice. White now needs to hit the emergency rescue button, basically, to play this perpetual here. So very disappointing finish for Nakamura, who needed the win badly, but only drew. Yeah, in the round after that, he also played a draw against Vladimir Potkin. A good Russian GM with 2640 or something rating, and a very well respected coach and theoretician. I'm not quite sure if the PGN file is correct for the game, because it looks like there Nakamura had a very simple win in the middle of the game. Very strange, just a fork and the other guy resigns. So I'm not quite sure if I should actually show the game. I can do it, why not? It's not a big issue. I can do it. Where is it? But I have some doubts that it was really played.
Check drawn.
You probably just lost your. This was terribly loud, right? Okay. Maybe I can edit this. So I don't want to get through the whole game. It was a somewhat offbeat Queen's Gambit accepted. Yeah, here in this position. Yeah, Bishop d4 played, and I mean, okay, you don't need to be a genius to spot knight b3 and resigns. I mean, it's very simple. I mean, why didn't he play that? It's just winning for black, and I cannot really understand. Nakamura, it seems, has played this move. It's also not bad for black. Yeah, black is already in good shape, but after this there is just nothing for white to do besides resign. He can take on c8, take the queen, and here this rook is protected. Yeah, black is just winning in this position. Nothing more, nothing less. It's really a bit strange, but okay, maybe there is some error here in the transmission or whatever that makes this this file flawed. I'm not going to speculate here anymore. I don't know. It looks weird. Knight b3 looks very simple, but he didn't do it. Okay, so I'm going to pause the video now before I load the next game, and to avoid this kind of loud noise. Yeah, I'm also going to look at a game of the world champion Magnus Carlsen, and yeah, he has played a decent round, decent day one. Those 5 rounds. He's probably not enthusiastic about it, but okay. He has scored 4 points out of 5. Winning his 3 white games. Okay, this is a spoiler for the result here, but you probably have guessed it that I'm just going to show you a win. Yeah, Magnus has scored 4 out of 5. 2 draws with black. He won the 3 white games. 2 in a more technical fashion and 1 in a somewhat more entertaining way. The 2 black games, yeah, were fighting draws. Okay, let's look at this game. His opponent is the already mentioned Vladimir Potkin. And we have a Tamanov variation of the Sicilian, and Carlsen plays, interestingly enough, with a3. This move always had the reputation of being somewhat lame. It gives away a tempo to avoid any bishop b4 businesses, but it never was one of the main continuations. Maybe it's interesting though, spending 1 tempo to get rid of black's main counterplay. Yeah, this here, for example, looks quite okay for white. Yeah, he's offering this trade, but it's not clear that this is really nice for black. I mean, look at this bishop. White probably has some chances to put pressure on black. It's not very comfortable. Very huge difference to have the pawn here. If the pawn would be on b5, black would be in excellent shape. So he played bishop to d6. Funny situation, also attacking here now. So e5 was played, and this is now a forced variation. Bishop c5 also was possible. Queen g3 though, it's not clear that you want that as black. Okay, bishop e7. And now white puts this knight on e4. I actually like white's position quite a lot. He's nicely coordinated, has good development, and he has those ideas to attack the king. Yeah, Potkin now played bishop b7, and yeah, to call it a bolt from the blue would be a bit much, but here it comes. Yeah. Knight f6, directly going for the attack, and that's dangerous, really. I'm not sure that white should be winning or anything, but it's a very dangerous move at least. Yeah, he took with the bishop. We of course need to look at pawn takes. After that, there are some possibilities. White can try to immediately take here. That's actually an interesting move. After which king g7 is best. Yeah, if black takes it, there is rook d3 with the idea queen h3, rook g3, and this is unstoppable. Yeah, this mate here with the 2 heavy pieces. If black ignores the bishop and goes here, I mean king g7 is more logical anyway, but after this there is queen h3 threatening this discovered check with a mate. So black must go to g7, and then there is
check.
This continuation again with a mate coming. That means, of course, black must go here. After that, however, it's quite funny. You can give the check, and if you want, can give a check here. But if you try to use the rook now, like this, there's bishop e4, and black is winning. Yeah, this means that here white must be content with a draw. He has no way to cover the e4 square in time. Bishop h7, I think for this reason, should be avoided. Needs to be calculated though, of course. What white can do, and this is maybe the better way to play, or the more interesting way to play, is the check. King to h8 and then queen to h4. This is an interesting and well-known tactical motif, threatening mate, and black only can play f5, everything else is mate, and white gets the piece back. And now probably queen to d8, trying to get rid of the queen. Yeah, this is an interesting position, hard to evaluate. I think black is probably okay here. White certainly is not worse. He can play this position, but it's not clear what's happening really. White can capture or can retreat, after which black can be brave maybe and to capture the pawn. It's very much a possibility in modern chess that black will grab this. Also, there's the end game, this type of position, like this, where white maybe enjoys a very slight pull, but it's not very serious. Yeah, this was the alternative, maybe the better choice. After the capture here, white takes on f6. Yeah, and here black absolutely must take on f6. There is nothing else. He must take here. Bishop h7.
Check.
Again, the idea, or possible idea. And here, after this, if black captures, we actually have this interesting variation.
Check.
Yeah, it looks like, sorry, this is mate, sorry. I must go here. Because I need bishop h7. Here, yeah, this line, here there is rook c3 with a tempo, that's very important, covering also c2. So now there is this and this also in the mix. And here black must give up the queen. It's not totally clear, this position, if white should win this 100% of the time, but he's very close. It's probably wiser to just, after bishop h7, step on the side. And here white will probably play c3, bishop d3, a move like that. At first this looks terrible, but it's not totally clear how bad this is. I mean, black can play rook g8. It's equal material, and there is no direct mate here. Black might get this in, for example. The main problem is, after this, there is simply nothing else. You need to do it. Potkin played the move g6. And yeah, this flat out loses. It's just like that. f5. A very obvious move, of course. Queen h6 is the idea. And it seems there is no defense whatsoever. Tried queen to d8, attacking f6. But now queen g5 was just strong, keeping the pawn and threatening to take here and then sacrifice. This is how it went. No witchcraft, easy to do once you're there with a big attack. Queen f6. Yeah, and here white has a
check,
direct win, taking, and queen h5, threatening discovered checks. King g7. Yeah, the only move there was bishop g6 was the main point with a mate. So something like this.
Check. Checkmate.
Is a direct mate.
Check.
Yeah, and here.
Check. Check.
Yeah, here Potkin resigned. There's too much. Yeah, this hangs. This is also a loose piece, and the main thing, rook f1 also. So totally over, and deserved and a nice win here for the world champion. Okay, we have one game left to briefly check. Just a moment. I want to quickly look at a game between Bahadur Jobava, top player from Georgia and very known for his enterprising and very often simply wacky style of playing Shahriar Mamedyarov, the defending world rapid champion. So let's see what happens in this game. Again, this funny opening. It really is in somewhat, it's in fashion, right? For those, especially for rapid time controls. So let's see what happens here. Bishop f5, a different approach. We had seen c5 by Freycinet earlier. Yeah, and bishop e5 is a bit like waving the red flag in front of the bull, because, well, one of white's ideas is to play f3, g4, this kind of push, and with bishop f4, f5, you're saying, okay, do your worst. And here he goes. Jobava is not the kind of person who declines such an invitation. h6. Yeah, and white has just gained space on the king side, and I really, to be honest, I really dislike black's setup here. is probably not objectively bad. I mean, if you give it to a computer, it is fairly optimistic about black's chances. Nothing special, not an advantage or anything, but it says black is okay. That might be the case, but it looks, I don't know. I don't think that black is terribly well coordinated. This is not good here. The knight on a6. It always needs to cover c7, and you cannot develop with bishop d6. I don't know. I don't like it very much. But at first, there's nothing really bad happening to Mamedyarov. Let's look at some more moves. Yeah, this looks totally normal. Knight e2. Yeah, and here that's a very tricky decision now. Yeah, castle or not castling. The problem is you would maybe like to not castle, try to get the king over to the queen side, but how do you actually untie your position here? Knight cannot move. If the rook moves, there is this pawn hanging. So this is a problem. You cannot move the knight, you cannot move the rook. And yeah, you would like to get rid of the knight on b5, but it's very tricky to do. I really don't like black very much. I mean, what he did is he castled, right? He said basically, okay, let's try to, I know, ride the tiger here. It's hoping that nothing wrong is, nothing terrible is happening. But okay, first a4. Make sure that the knight is secure after a move like queen b6. Bishop to f6. Bishop d6. And here we go. f4 with very clear intentions. f4, g5, and so on. Yeah, and it seems that the next move by Mamedyarov is leading to very big trouble already. He played knight to b6. I'm not quite sure what he should do. The computer is saying that something like c4 is still okay, but I really don't see black's play here. White is the only one with an idea with this g5 push, and black, I mean, for example, this type of position. This, if you give this here to Stockfish, the built-in engine, it gives you something like 0.3 or 0.2 for white. And really, where is black's play in this position? White is just pushing on the king side, and you need to be super precise not to get totally wiped out. So white seems much more comfortable here. Yeah, he played knight b6, and this is met by a really concrete and very very quick attack. G5, h6, and it's very dangerous now. This bishop is covering f8, so white is just threatening to take, and queen h7 mate. Black really only has this move. There is nothing else. Took.
Check.
And pushed here. Yeah, king g7. If you consider king h8,
check.
There is this stuff happening. And here, probably just bishop f4 or knight d6. They're both very dangerous. This attack, yeah, black's whole king position is really not good. Yeah, king g7 makes much more sense.
Check.
And here bishop e5 was played. And f6. Yeah, f6 weakens g6 terribly, but bishop f6 wasn't really much better. Knight d6 is leading to a fantastic position for white. The knight is joining the attack, and always note that those two knights are just doing nothing in terms of defense. Something like this here seems excellent for white. Rook f1. Yeah, and some other attacking ideas are coming here. Yeah, he played f6. And now Jobava played knight to d6. It seems that this wasn't the most precise move. Knight f4 immediately was even stronger, directly threatening on g6. And after takes. We get a position that is very similar in the game, very similar to the game. But here black wasn't given a chance that he had in the game. White here has just this big attack, castles, and then the rook here d1 to g1 with all the pieces attacking. That's not defendable, together with the pawn on h7. After knight d6 here Mamedyarov actually could have defended very tenaciously with f takes e5. He didn't do that. After this, which I think is the move to go to.
Check.
Look at this. This is given as the best line by the engine. And this position isn't totally clear, really. Black has knight c4 coming. And it's still, of course, it's a fight, yeah? At least a fight. Yeah, in the game, he played rook h8, and then knight f4 was played, intending this direct mating attack, or knight e6 if you want. After the capture here, we get to a position very comparable to the one we had before, only that in the other line, this possibility f takes e5 wasn't on. Yeah, here black cannot defend. He played g5. After rook h7, you just castle long, and with the second rook involved, there's no defense. It's just attacking with all pieces, where black's pieces here are stuck in the corner or in the middle on the side of the board. Yeah, this was played in castles. Knight c4. Yeah, you can look for the best continuation after this if you like. I won't make an exercise out of it, it's just too simple. This is the quickest way with the queen sack.
Checkmate.
Yeah, quite a nice mate, yeah, with this knight taking away squares and the rooks doing the rest of the job. Yeah, knight c4 was tried. And now rook h6. Funny move. Wasn't the only win, but it was enough. Yeah, black after the capture loses the queen, but there is nothing else. Of course, white is just threatening this. Or rook g6. It's far too much.
Check.
Queen is lost. Now b3. There are many ways to win this now. Rook g1, rook h7. Here, quite interesting enough, he didn't take. This would have won very quickly, actually.
Check.
Yeah, king h8, the only move. Otherwise, the rook is lost. And then d takes c5 with queen d4 coming. This was a very straightforward win. This being an important point. He played e4. This should win as well, but it's a bit less forceful. Yeah, black really has no defense anyway. Yeah, he played king to h8 and now e5. And this is strong. It opens up here the king side. Took the bishop. Yeah, not really anything else. And now queen g6 is leading to a forced mate already. Yeah, okay. If I said there's not much else, but if you don't take the bishop, white is just winning in the attack as well. Rook f8, and now simply the capture. And yet now black is totally helpless against the idea of playing f7. I can show you the general idea. f7, intending queen g8 with a mate. Rook takes, and you get a new queen with a checkmate. Yeah, and okay, this is
checkmate.
Winning, and this
checkmate
also. So white has a decisive mating attack in the game. After e takes f6, Mamedyarov resigned the game. So quite a funny win here for Jobava. He's always fun to watch if you see him play in a tournament. Just look at his games. It's always some action going on. Very rarely you see a boring game or a game where nothing's really happening. So after the first 5 rounds, if you only look at the players examined here, we see that Carlsen with 4 points is okay. He's near the top of the field. Nakamura with 3 points, already somewhat behind. He needs to get some wins in to get back into the hunt. And a couple of players were in front. Caruana, Kayakin, Nepomniachtchi, I'm sorry. It's a bit tricky. There are so many good players with high scores. I recommend to visit the official FIDE website, fide.com, FIDE.com, and from there go to the official site of this World Rapid and Blitz Championship. They have tons of information, video coverage, the standings. So it's worth checking out. Okay, I hope you enjoyed the video. I'll be back tomorrow with something similar, like 40-50 minutes of some highlights. And yeah, I hope you're on then as well. Thanks for watching.